Good evening and welcome to this week's edition of Ambazonia This Week. As the halls of the two-day palace in Yaoundé remains quiet and the octogenarian president, Biya of French Cameroon, continues his long, unexplained absence, we find ourselves at a critical juncture, and this is no longer just a disappearance. It is a systemic collapse, deepening the catastrophe across both the southern Cameroons and La Republic du Cameroon. While the people of southern Cameroons continues to face the monstrosity of Biya's army in the senseless ongoing war, displacement and economic despair, the international community remains trapped in a posture of hypocritical silence, prioritizing their own extractive interests over the lives of those suffering under a ghost regime. But silence from the West does not mean inaction for southern Cameroons, as the regime in Yaoundé struggles with the sudden power vacuum and internal instability. A unique window of opportunity has opened. Today, we examine how Ambazonian leaders can seize this moment to strategically advance the cause for absolute freedom and define a new path towards admitting the crumbling foundation of the status quo. These and many more will form the foundation of tonight's conversation. I am Oyin Opala. Now, let's begin right after the break. Well, tonight we have two great barristers and authorities when it comes to anything surrounding Ambazonia and everything about the law, international, national, and beyond. We have two of them in the house, and of course, they are great commentators for this particular program. We have Barrister Fru John Nsoh in the house. Good evening, Barrister Fru.
Good evening, Onye. Thank you very much for another Saturday. Thank you for inviting us once more. We are here to examine what is happening in our enemy camp, La Republique de Cameroon. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. We also have Barrister Tim Mbeseha. Barrister Mbeseha, welcome to the show today.
Thank you for having us once more over the weekend.
All right, thank you so much. So let's begin. We started a little bit behind schedule, and so we apologize to Ambazonians, and we also appreciate them for waiting and standing by to watch us. And so we'll just go straight to the point for discussion tonight, and hopefully in the next 1 hour, we'll definitely wrap it up here. So barristers in the house now, given the from the introduction, given the unprecedented power vacuum which we have seen, everyone is talking about it in Yaoundé. At this point, how should Ambazonian leadership, when we come together, we're talking about diplomatically whenever we come together, because that's the most Ambazonian leadership can do. So how can Ambazonian leadership diplomatically calibrate to capitalize on this fragmentation within the CPDM elites and exactly the vacuum rather that is happening? Barrister Fru, should we start with you? Let's start with you.
Thank you, Onye. What is happening in La Republique du Cameroon is not new. They have had this power vacuum since the elections of 2025, even before the election of 2025. Mr. Biya he was in Yaoundé, but he was not governing Cameroon. Cameroon was being governed by factions of his tribesmen. Uh, what is intriguing is what happened in the last 2 weeks, or from the 6th of June, Mr. Biya left Cameroon for what they call in French bref séjour in Europe. They didn't even say that he was going to Geneva. And bref séjour in Europe. So he left on the 6th of June 2026, and today is the 25th of July. That makes exactly 47 days. 47 days absence from the presidency with no explanation, nothing to show for, whether he is on the official visit or even private visit that is doing official business, we don't know. Nobody knows when Mr. Biya will return to Cameroon. Even his very close confidants, those who are governing the country for him, as his instructions, the old instruction, they don't even know when Mr. Biya will show up. As we speak, Onye, Yaoundé is tense, very tense. You ask the question, how does Ambazonia take advantage of this power vacuum? Well, Onye, we don't have yet a full power vacuum because the military is still coming into our territory to attack us, and we are responding to them. Having said that, the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, the Southern Cameroon Ambazonia government in exile, is watching very carefully what is happening in the enemy camp. We are doing everything to ensure that our forces on the ground have enough to respond at any time that we want them to respond. And they have the time to do what they have to do to clear our territory of this occupational force by the Republic of Cameroon, a force that has no direction anymore, because Cameroon right now, Onye, you may want to know, it has no government. When a president is elected, his mandate is renewed by the people. He's supposed to now put together a management team to execute the mandate that he won. But what is happening? Nothing is happening. There's no government. He quickly, immediately after the election, he quickly forced the National Assembly to change the constitution to create the post of vice president. And the reading of that change on the constitution is very intriguing, Onye. The president of the republic may appoint the vice president. This is the only country in the world where the sitting president has the option of appointing his assistant. When in other presidential systems, you run the election with your running mate, who is your assistant, so that he as you have the legitimacy, he too should have that legitimacy, so that if something happens to you, he takes over. That amendment says that if something happens to Mr. Biya, the vice president will take over. But Mr. Biya has not appointed the vice president. He has not appointed a government since after the election. He is completely out of touch, out of view of anybody, and out of touch. They rushed him to Geneva by using a medical plane. And since then, all what we hear about him is Romo. Whether he's there or he's not there is not the business of the Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. We have an enemy to take care of, and we are watching very carefully any move from that sector because that place is collapsing and it's collapsing fast. So that is what I think we are doing, and I know the government is watching very carefully, and we will respond for on everything that we need to respond. For now, we are watching, and La Republic citizens are agonizing. The tension in Yaoundé is palpable. I've spoken to a few of my contacts in Yaoundé, and they say the place is so tense. Everybody is talking, but nobody is saying anything that can get him into trouble. Everybody is home. The place looks like you go to the market. The markets are dry. So that is what is happening in La Republic of Cameroon, and we will continue to watch and take note and act accordingly. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Barrister Fru. Barrister Mbeseha, at this silence and as the depth of, what is happening, what does the international community's strategic silence regarding Paul Biya's absence reflect? Do you think that it's a deliberate policy to manage a transition rather than support democratic aspirations in the Cameroons and, of course, the Southern Cameroons in this case?
I don't know whether the international community is silent. But what do you mean by international community? Anybody? United Nations or what? We don't know. But let me analyze it from your headline. Your headline is entitled Empty Throne, Broken State,
Broken
Biya's
state.
Disappearance.
Disappearance.
Let me analyze it before I get to the added Amazonia there. You see, Cameroon is a lawless state. It is, if I told it is a state, absolutely lawless. They don't respect any laws, talk less of their own constitution. Why is there the empty throne? Why is there a broken state? Why is Biya said to have disappeared? President Nsoh has emphasized a number of things. Say Yaoundé is broken, Yaoundé is this, Yaoundé is this. That is factual. It's not his imagination. It is not it's the world's imagination. Because Yaoundé is not an accident. The Constitution of Cameroon provides in Article 1.8
Okay.
that Yaoundé is the headquarters. So all the administration is supposed to be in Yaoundé. Paul Biya is supposed to be in Yaoundé, like it or not. Whoever is elected president must be in Yaoundé. And that was in 1992, the French told Niprundi, jamais un anglophone à étudier. It is in Yaoundé that there will never be an anglophone in the presidency in Yaoundé. So Yaoundé and the institutions are absolutely important. And so Yaoundé is empty, the throne is empty. But before we go to what the throne is empty, you remember that accepted in the Constitution, Article 2, 1 of that same Constitution, says that sovereignty of the people are sovereign. That is, the citizens are sovereign. And they exercise the sovereignty through the elected parliamentarians and the president. And then fast forward, you go to Article 5.6, which says that the president is elected for 7 years, sorry. No more, no less. There's no provision in that constitution for the president to move out and go and live anywhere. Sovereignty has been bestowed on him. If he has to move somewhere else, he's a worker for the state, for the people. He has to take permission from the people. That's what happens all over the world. If President Trump, for example, wants to go to China, he lets the world know that he's going to China for this time fixed. If he's sick, he lets the world know that the American world know that the president is sick. He checked in into this hospital because the people elected him to sit there and do the job. The same applies to all countries in the world. If the Prime Minister of Great Britain wants to come to Cameroon or go somewhere else, he will tell the people of UK, the Prime Minister is going to India, the Prime Minister is going to China, the Prime Minister is going to Cameroon for 2 weeks, for 2 days, for 3 days. And so when the president disappears without any authorization from the president, from the people, it is manifest illegality. Their constitution does not provide for a situation where the president in Cameroon, within the context of Cameroon, can go and sit in Biya, sit in Bamenda, sit in Garwa, and pass decrees, because those decrees are headed paper Yaoundé. Garwa is not Yaoundé. Mvong Makawe retired to his village is not Yaoundé. And so even by that context, if the president wants to go and stay a few days in Vomaka, it is known the president has gone to Vomaka to take a rest. I don't know how we got the information that is in Geneva. Officially, nothing has been told to us, to the world. So if, for example, the president of China or any other country in the world wants to contact him, where are they going to contact him? Where's the address? And so when the president moves out and disappears, or let me say move, he disappears for a length of time, that is what you call disappearance of the administration. And curiously enough, I've said, this is a country without laws. He sits there somewhere, wherever he is, and he's pondering out decrees, claiming to come from the president, decrees supposedly coming from Yaoundé, they are titled Yaoundé, but he's not there. He's said to be in a hospital in China, in Switzerland. Which constitution in the world does not recognize that their head of state can be sick? But it's put there. They are human beings. And then he has to report back to people. Let me say again, I insist. In the Cameroon constitution, he added a report directly to the people, that he makes his press conferences. People know it. Or the other body that enjoys sovereignty assembly. I say address the assembly to say where he is. No. Rather, we'll get people who know connections, issuing out press releases. The Minister of Higher Education writing his own in terrible language that nobody understands, explaining that we don't have to complain. And so, where's the government? They find the so-called President of the National Assembly, who is supposed to be part of him, silent. And so this is a complete disappearance, a complete absence of authority, a complete failure of a state, because these are state institutions that are not working. There's no provision that the presidency, part of it can be in Yaoundé, part of it can be in Garwa. No. There's no provision that part of the National Assembly can be in Yaoundé, another one in Gaoundé. No. But curiously, as you know, last year, 2 years ago, a year ago, the president of the National Assembly created an affiliate of it in his Marwa residence. Drove National Assembly cars and parked there. Gave them to his wives and his children. And people were going to consult with him there in the National Assembly. No. You have to sit in Yaoundé to do the job. They are not doing it. And so again, you come back to what your next question, and the Ambazonia moment of truth. What have we to learn? The truth is, there is nobody officially in Yaoundé to talk to. Whether the international community likes or not, there is nobody to talk to. Yeah. Like we know in a tradition, we saw the phone will come die. Once they say the phone has disappeared, there's nobody in the palace until the phone comes back, reincarnated or in a form. There's nobody in that palace. And so in Yaoundé, the presidency, the official state is absent. Because Paul Biya carries himself, is a state. Paul Biya is a state. Why? Because it's elected for 7 years renewal as often as she likes. One. That's not just all. Everything that goes through Cameroon as law is Paul Biya's law. All the laws are from the presidency, and every law will end with it shall be completed by a decree of the presidency. And so when this mighty Baobab, everything, all tentacles of administration is absent, either for whatever reason, when he's dead, there's nothing functional until someone takes his place. And so what should Ambazonia do? There's nobody to talk to. Luckily for us, he did not disappear with the war. He left the war in the house. We have to continue fighting him, even fighting his spirits, of those who sit in his position there. Until, we don't know. The international community, they have eyes. If they had ever been interested, they would start to cry. Wanted to talk to Paul Biya. We didn't see him. Remember, a month ago, so the Pope wanted to talk to Paul Biya. He came to Yaoundé. And he went to Itudi and saw him physically there and delivered the message he wanted to deliver right there with him. Suppose the Pope wanted to make a follow-up. Where will he find him? You come and talk to Ngongo because the delegation of power. You come and talk to Archbishop Andrew there because you're Cameroonian. Who to who? That's an international personality. Where will you talk to who? And so we're unfortunate, but again, he didn't die with the war. He has left the war for us to fight. If there's any advantage you can take, is to put more pressure until by the time that his successor comes to the throne or when he resurrects again, we shall have to fight further and further. Because as he's there, the war is not resting with him. I said in one segment before that the president will not carry the country to the grave. The president will not carry the country to his hospital bed. The institution is supposed to be functional. And so he has only one thing, he's dead, but he didn't die with a war. He declared the war and died with it and died living to continue with the remnants of the war. And so Ambazonians must be encouraged that maybe if he's not there, he's either dead because of the fatigue of the war, or he's taken so ill because of the pressure. Either way, he's not dead. He declared the war. And so his leader is a captain who has fallen sick, who has fallen dead. What do you do as an opponent when the opponent dies? You crush him. If at all, you can take away his corpse and burn it. So that's evidence that you have buried that thing that he did forever. And so let Ambazonia who to do what we're doing, knowing that the presidency is absent, looking upon the community. If they are interested, they will ask one day, where is the other doctor? They will say, we'll have nobody to talk on the other side to us. That is a strategy. It is workable. It can work. Over to you.
All right, what a strategy there. Thank you so much, Barrister Mbeseha. Barrister Fru, now let's talk about the Constitutional Council. So if the Constitutional Council continues to obfuscate the reality of the presidency's vacancy, what is the legal one and let's say political roadmap for Ambazonian entities to force this issue onto the UN Security Council agenda? Barrister Mbeseha was asking us who are the international community, the UN and all of that. So here we are narrowing it down.
Okay. Thank you, Onye. Before I answer your question, I'd like to state that we knew that Biya was in Geneva when the president of the National Assembly left Cameroon, landed in Geneva, and met with some officials. I don't know whether he met the president, but he went to that Geneva. For what reason? It beats anybody's imagination. Now, to answer your question, the opposition parties in Cameroon have filed a case in the Constitutional Council for the Constitutional Council to declare the incapacity of Mr. Biya to govern. We know that the Constitutional Council is made up of very old men. There's few young ones there. For the last many months now, we have not seen the president of the Constitutional Council public. Even when the first president of the Supreme Court died, and all who is who in the judicial system was there for the funeral, he was absent. Even filed against a provision in the Constitution that is violated, the hearing was conducted by his vice president, by the vice president of the Constitutional Council. The Constitutional Council is incapacitated itself. Cameroon has come to a dead end because Mr. Biya wanted it that he had governed Cameroon single-handedly and had put all the powers in his hands and to the people that he works with, and he is prisoner of his own doing. Now, nobody knows whether he's alive or well or whatever he's doing in Geneva. This is the first time since he has been going to Geneva that he has stayed this long. The last time he went and stayed 42 days and ran back, it was in 2024. Now, he is now in the 47th day, and nobody knows anything about him, including those who are governing Cameroon in his place. If there is any governance going on, nobody knows when he is coming back. So the Constitutional, if it was a council, if it was a judicial unit that is serious, would have taken this thing seriously and examined the action that has been seized by the opposition party in his jurisdiction, to examine the case and see whether Mr. Biya can be declared incapacitated because he has been absent from work for 47 days. Nobody knows his whereabouts. Some people argue that some decrees are coming out that he signed. Oh yeah, let me tell you something. There is a decree retiring more than 46 senior military officers. Do you know when it was promulgated and signed? 14th of July. Where is it since the 6th of June? Who signed the decree? If somebody who was on social media was saying that the signatures are not rhyming on all the decrees that they have signed. And at the corner, you have a Secretary General's stamp and signature. So who is signing the decree? Is it Mr. Biya himself? There are about two or three decrees. The one at the retiring military officer, the one that sends congratulatory message to Spain for winning the World Cup. There's another one, I don't know, I cannot. All this signed within this week, Onye. The question is, who is signing? And where is the guy? Just know that there is a carved signature stamp that you can just take and put, and Mr. Biya's signature will appear. And then the Secretary General will put his own stamp on it. That is not how decrees were supposed to be signed. But because he has given powers of execution, powers of signing documents to the Secretary General, put that stamp there to say that it is emanating from government. Cameroon is as we speak. There's no government. There is no vice president. There is no the president of the Senate who was supposed to be the one to govern for 120 days and call elections. That provision has been taken out during the last amendment. And so Cameroon is completely finished. Where are they going? Who is in charge? The prime minister who was supposed to have resigned and be reappointed or another one appointed is still hanging there in the old government. Who is then in charge? Is it the Secretary General that he gave a signature to? Did he also pass power to him? Look, coming to the international community, this international community that we talk about, like Barrister Mbeseha said, say, who is international community? There are people who don't care, they only care about what they get. The United Nations is not an organ that Ambazonia can rely on, at least for now. All the big five of the Security Council, they are not talking, but the press organs in the international community have taken over the matter. Onye, if you have been reading international news, Jeune Afrique, all the other big newspapers in the world, in France, in Britain, and even in Europe in general, are asking the question: where is Mr. Biya? Is there a government in Cameroon? I read one article and I laughed. The guy said he's telling the minister, the foreign minister in a particular country was telling his people, don't go to Cameroon because there's nobody for you to talk to and do business because there's no government. Can you imagine the type of thing that the world now thinks about Cameroon? Cameroon is finished. There's nobody, there's no driver sitting in the driver's seat. So where do we go? All we can do is continue with the diplomatic endeavor that is on now, and get countries to look at our situation. We are caught in a quagmire of which is not our fault. We cannot negotiate with La République of Cameroon because there's nobody to negotiate with. We cannot do anything because there's no government. Therefore, why can the world not liberate the southern Cameroon, Ambazonia, as we speak now? If Cameroon wants to go down in the pit of hell, let them go down alone. They cannot take us along with them, Onye. So we are saying that the world should now come to our rescue and let us be free to govern ourselves, like we are doing now with the government in exile. Is doing its best. It cannot govern the way a normal government will govern because we are not on the ground. But at least we are governing. But we need to give our sovereignty back to us. Resolution 1608 gave us an opening for independence. Why can they not let us exercise that independence and be free? That's where we are now. There is no the place is clocked. The international community is telling us that they have nobody to talk to on the other side. That is our enemy. So what do? We continue to fight soldiers that are coming from nowhere. From where? Are they coming sent by somebody? Can we say that those soldiers now are being sent by the government? Is there a government? Who is in charge? Those are the questions, Onye. Thank you very much.
Who is really in charge is a question begging for answers. But while we are seeking for that answer on the other end, Barrister Mbeseha, I know that you do not like questions once we ask about the international community. But then how do we differentiate the current instability in La République de Cameroon as a potential catalyst for Southern Cameroon's independence rather than just another cycle of regime shuffling? I mean, this is stifling everything in the economy for both Cameroons.
Well, you see, as much as I dislike the so-called United Nations or international community, they are there. My hatred of them does not change the fact that they're there. They're actually there. And so if the United Nations wanted to act, they will not require the permission of Mr. Paul Biya. They will act. For example, you talked of the Security Council. The Security Council, no matter what they were brought there by another country, they don't come to you and they ask him, please, sir, we take this thing to the Security Council. No. A member country simply proposes there, it is adopted, it is put on the agenda, it is debated. And so I would pray that one of those one few honest countries in the world should should be bold to take our matter to the Security Council. Matter to the Security Council is essentially about the breach of security. These people have been killing people. There's insecurity all over. The adoptions are permanent. The killings are permanent. And so any country can take it there. Back to the Cameroon thing. Like Mbeseha also says, see, there's something called Constitutional Council in Cameroon. It was instituted in the 1996 Constitution. But between 1996 and today, that was speaking 2026. That's about almost 40 years, even more, around that length of time. I don't remember any case, even one, that I've ever judged. Cases have been brought before them, and so they didn't hear the thing. Whoever started did not hear the case. They have only
No,
one
he did
judgment
not.
to give.
But it's
They have
sad.
only one judgment. No, yeah. When they sit, for the time that they've ever sat, they have only given one judgment. Not that you have won or you have lost. No. You simply say your complaint is irreceivable. One word. There is no judgment. Because judgment is to
So,
say it is irreceivable because he did this, he did this, he did this, or he did not do this, he did not do this. Irreceivable is not a constitutional answer to a problem brought to them. Because a constitutional thing is a document written down. You are alleging a violation.
yeah.
Either it is violated or it is not violated. That body is supposed to hear the case, hear your arguments, come out with the reason
And
to
issue a
judgment.
judgment.
They have never done that. And there's a reason why they have not done it. Because I said earlier, that Cameroon is the Paul Biya is Cameroon. Institutionally, Paul Biya is Cameroon. The Constitutional Council is its creation from its constitution of 1996. 1996 constitution that was prepared up by late Joseph Warner was his creation of Paul Biya. And they put those inside there. It is Paul Biya who appoints all the members of the Constitutional Council. All.
Correct.
Because even though they say that there will be a representative from Parliament, representative of this, those representatives are sent to the presidency. It is the president who makes the decrees to appoint them. And so the Constitutional Council, like other institutions, are the creation of Mr. Paul Biya. You just see somebody has become the president of the National Assembly. And his village, or you say, is dancing, thank Paul Biya for making me the president of the National Assembly. It's supposed to be an independent body. You thank Paul Biya for making you the president of the National Assembly. You thank Paul Biya for making you a senator. You thank Paul Biya for making you a minister, talk less of a director or whatever thing. So the government, the Paul Biya is the institution, left and right, he is the one. I've said all laws that have come through that so-called parliament have been laws that come from the presidency. Officially, in their constitution, no law will pass through parliament unless it is accepted by it is from the presidency. And even when it comes from the presidency is always careful to leave it somewhere that the presidential decree will complement this. What is the presidential decree? Nobody has ever explained the source of presidential decree in Cameroon. It's a one-man act. It doesn't justify. It simply says decrees. It doesn't say because I've consulted here or there. No. And so it's a one-man rule. If you compare what you get on Cameroon with other countries around, other French-speaking countries, for example, just take Cote d'Ivoire. They also have the same presidential decrees. But the presidential decrees, for example, of the Cote d'Ivoire are different. Because when the decree comes out in Cote d'Ivoire, you see, after consultation with the government, at least the president is supposed to have consulted with the government. This is not the same thing with Cameroon presidential decrees. And then, as Basil also says, I don't even know why that man bothers putting the presidential seal on that thing. The president has since 2019 given up power officially
Yes.
to Ngongo because his delegation
He
of
signed.
authority that he signed and gave it to him, amongst other things, stated that it is only Ngongo who will decide what document the president will sign. So it is Ngongo delegating power to the president, not the president delegating power to Ngongo. And so Ngongo
No.
has the right, as per that his document, to
Yes.
make a cabinet change. He has the right to dismiss anybody he likes on the basis of his presidential authority handed to him, the procuration he got from President Paul Biya. The President Paul Biya
But
giving the
he cannot.
procuration? No. I would rather say the reverse. It is Ngongo who is giving President Paul Biya a procuration because it's he who decides what the president will sign. It is not the president who says and say, well, I give this to my secretary general. No, it is the reverse. And so this is where we find ourselves. And people will think that we should belong to this. It goes down, you can analyze it for years, it will not come to an end. And with his powers in the presidency, either Ngongo or himself, he can do wonderful things. He can carve out your state, your village, and call it a division, and put his
Yes.
prefect there. He can carve out
Existing
the region
attack
and say, "I create a prefect," and put his prefect there, who takes orders from him. And our people have bought into it. Why? We have seen all these things. People from Batibo, anywhere, not just Batibo, Bali, wherever, they don't need water, they have a problem, they go and say, we're going to see our father, our papa, the superfet. The boy will not even be full, probably not even up to 40 years old. They say, we come for his baby, papa, where to give water. They're not talking to the guy, the papa there is referring to Paul Biya, who appointed him. And because he has a round stamp and
Yes.
wears a face cap, he become the papa of the father of your grandmother, of my grandmother. And so people have learned to live with this for so many
Oh
years.
God.
The question I ask, as far as Amazonia is concerned, how long shall we continue in this nonsense? How long? We've seen people, our federalists, who are part of this system, want it to continue. Our unionists, who want it to continue. I don't know where they know the history of this thing. I saw yesterday on a different platform where some people were arguing about the third AAC. And the conveners, one of them said, look, we want to return to normalcy, our schools, and so on and so forth. We want to discuss how women will do this. But above all, one of the conveners officially told us right there, want this thing to come because the woman says she's from Guti. We of the Southwest can never live with the Northwest. Well, many people have been saying that. But how did the Northwest come to exist officially? It is a creation of Yaoundé by decree. So I find this divide and rule system. In 1972, they come and abolished the constitution, killed the entity called Southern Cameroon, divided it into parcels, called one Northwest, called the other one Southwest. In 1984, an attempted two coup comes. What does Paul Biya do? He said this is from the Grand North. Passes it into three. Grand North, Far North, whatever thing, Adamawa, and three other things. And
North,
appoints
North, far north,
yeah, and
Adamama.
each of them enjoys his appointment by council, the governor, who are his direct appointees. And today, if something is happening, he say, no, my people of the far north, that's my constituency. Oh, I can do it with the Adamawa. To divide and rule. And so, again, we shall ask ourselves, how long shall we live in this? Not asking Paul Biya, asking ourselves, asking our brothers and sisters, which still they dream of belonging to something they call Cameroon. The British Southern Cameroon, which is today Ambazonia, who have lived our lives, knowing that you rule yourself. What the British did and called indirect rule was the best thing. They never came to our place to create schools. They never came to dig roads. They let you dig your roads. If they needed to help you, they gave you money, the support. So there was no way that President, no, Prime Minister Jua, Prime Minister Foncha, or Indele would have sat in Boya and decreed that they should go to Nkambe and do this, or they should go to Wum and do this, or to Mampa. It never occurred. And I said in the last segment, we needed schools. We opened our own schools. The missionaries who were working for no pay said, well, let us locate a school here. This is a good place. This will be a playground. This is how the school will be built. We'll build the teachers' quarters. That's a school. We'll send our children
Yep.
there. If the rope collapse, we'll cut the sticks. We'll only ask government to give us the zinc. And so we'll manage our own affairs. How long shall we remain in this? When shall Ambazonians learn to understand that whatever thing happened, the Republic of Cameroon had no right, no legal right, nowhere ever to come and partition Southern Cameroon. Never, never any right. Just
No,
like the
no
United States,
authority, no
just
law,
like in the United
nothing.
States, no matter how big or how small the state is, President Trump, the greatest dictator in the world, cannot go and parcel out part of California, parcel part of any other state in the United States. The 50 states are not equal. Some are so small, some are so big. The president does not have that power to redefine the boundaries of a state. Yaoundé had no power to change the boundaries of our state. Whether me coming from the Biya in the southwest, where I love or hate people from coming calling the northwest, nobody has the right to decree that we are no longer the one. Nobody, not Paul Biya, not even Macron. And so again, to our brothers and sisters of the so-called southwest who postulate in this nonsense, you are buying into the illegalities. What makes you a southwesterner? Call it. What makes you a guy, a woman in Guti? Are you this, do you have the same tradition with the Bakure man in Fako? Why must you live with him? Why must you in Guti, who has no common thing with the man in Dian, live there? If you can live with the man in Dian, what prevents you from living with the man in Kambe, in Wum, or in Bamada? And so this is absolute nonsense that I think if this message can sink, let those people again, because life is continuous, let these people postulating with this nonsense of AAC3 and spewing out this type of story popularly on media know that they have no mandate. I'm also from the Southwest. That woman cannot say that she's speaking for the Southwest. I'm from the Southwest. I never mandated her to say she cannot live with somebody in Bamada. Again, and this has been going on. Remember the Grand National Dialogue? Archbishop Andrew told us he went there as a bishop. When he got there, a certain Chief Mokete, may so rest in peace, told him the Northwest cannot live with the Southwest. I accepted it. Who mandated him to tell you that? And the Archbishop of Owo, who is a man from the Southwest, if he can live in Bamenda, the Northwest, without harassment,
And there's a
why does it?
and an
What
archbishop
does
there.
it? Yeah, why does it think that I cannot live, be a civilian? Again, we have to take our own development into our own hands. Politics is complex. The ones in Cameroon is very, very vicious. It's vicious politics. They eliminate you if you oppose them. They subdue you in any form, and at the worst of it, they kill you. But freedom is not cheap. Independence is not cheap. Freedom is not cheap. The oppressors are not stupid people. Oppressors are very intelligent people. That's how they manipulate to kill you, because they know that you're resisting them. But the resistance is not of stupid people. We also know that they are intelligent. And that's why we discover their tricks. So again, back to the story. Paul Biya can escape and go and hide in Switzerland. He can go and hide in Paris. He will not carry the problem with him. The problem, he must solve that problem, the war he declared. Again, ending up here, I quote Mr. Wilbur. I've never been to France. I'm not sure at the time Wilbur had been to France. But Wilbur told them, get all the French army together and all the colonies, bring back Napoleon, and reconstitute the French army and the French Empire. You will not defeat Ambazonia militarily. Talk less of even talking, defeating Bui, Jakiri, where where we came from. And so that's where I think this. I can talk for so many years, and I know it is so passionate. Over to you.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree
But
with you.
do we know, Onye, do we know whether Paul Biya is living? If he's living, why is he not going back to his place? Is he that sick? What is happening? Those are the questions that the whole world is asking, including the international press.
But when you look at it from that angle, while people are, waiting to hear whether he's leaving or he's not leaving and all of that. The military apparatus in La Republic du Cameroon is currently, jockeying for position. Now, what specific humanitarian or political intervention can, Ambazonians and Ambazonian leaders propose to protect civilian populations in southern Cameroon from potential collateral conflict and damage and loss of lives? Over the week there were so many bad news coming in from the home front, which shows a whole lot of lack of control from the French military. Barrister Mbeseha, or Barrister Fru rather.
Listen, Onye. The Ambazonian State Army is already on the ground and is protecting the people. They may not be doing a 100% job because of lack of resources, but we are doing our best to make sure they have the resources. But we cannot, that's the only way we can protect ourselves now until the international community decides to protect us. Because right now in Yaoundé, there is no government. It's a free for all place. Any minister is just doing what he likes. And I want to say here, even in Gongo with the signature of Mr. Mbeseha cannot dismiss any minister because he did not appoint a minister. Ministers have done such terrible things, and he cannot even talk. He cannot even chastise a minister. Imagine that Atanganji is going around intimidating churches, these born-again churches, with no authority from anybody, with no directives, nothing, just doing what he does best, intimidating people and doing whatever he has to do to make money. Look, the place is now no man's land. We Ambazonians, we have always had authority. We have our authority now from the government of the Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia in exile, and we are protected by the Ambazonian State Army. We do our best to try to protect our civilian population. But now, why, when you ask that question, Onye, it presupposes that La Republique was protecting us. La Republique, since this war broke out in January 2018, we have not had any protection from La Republique du Cameroon. In fact, La Republique du Cameroon is a danger because when they show up, they kill us, they kill our people. So that's an enemy that has been fighting us and killing our people, and we cannot give the protection of our people over to them. We are the ones protecting our people, and we are still doing that. That is all we can do, Onye. There is no other organ that can come to protect our people other than ourselves. The population should make sure that they protect themselves and get in touch with the Ambazonian State Army to when there are problems so that they can handle it and handle it in such a way that they are protected. That is what is happening on the ground. There is no government in Yaoundé. Nobody has appointed a government since Biya was elected. And he himself stood up there and said, dans les tout prochains jours, il y aura un gouvernement. Tout prochains jours has become 9 months, Onye. No government in place. The old government is functioning, doing what they want to do. They do what interests them. No minister they have been stealing money. They stole COVID money. They stole money from the stadium. They have been stealing from their ministries. There have been a lot of evil things are taking place. There is nobody to say, hey, what are you doing? Stop it or bring that money. So they are now, they do what they like, because there's nobody to control them. The man who's supposed to control them is now sitting in somewhere in Geneva, whether he's sleeping or sitting, nobody knows.
All right. Nobody really knows, but
So we are
time
in a
would tell.
quagmire. The southern Cameroon's Ambazonia is in a quagmire. We need protection from the international community.
Section from the international community. Okay.
The so-called international
Barrister Fru.
community. The so-called international community. I'm talking about I'm talking about other states,
Okay.
other countries, other the big five,
Yeah, the big five.
the major countries in the world, both in South America, North America, Europe, Africa, come to our help. We are in a quagmire.
All right. Thank you so much, Barrister Fru. While as we are wrapping up, I will just ask this as part of the final questions for tonight. Barrister Mbeseha, do you think that it is time for Ambazonian, leaders to pivot their advocacy away from all of this plea that we are doing, the big five, just like Barrister Fru had said, the international community, the AU, the traditional Western appeals, given their demonstrated lack of interest. I wanted to say hypocrisy, but let's just use lack of interest of these powers. They've shown really lack of interest towards, what Ambazonians are doing. Do you think that they should just seek more engagement from them? What would be your advice at this point with everything happening?
Your volume, sir. You are muted. You are muted.
Are you getting me?
We'll
You
get
may
you
have
now.
to go through
Yes.
what you just said. We didn't hear you until now.
I've just said that we shall continue to advocacy as we have been doing. But we have a bigger problem somewhere else. We have more enemies in the house. I don't know since when Ambazonians in general, especially the educated one, lost their sense of revulsion, sense of anger. Are you still getting me?
Yes.
Are you still getting me?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know since when they lost their sense of anger. I still saw yesterday again, still watching on different fora, something happened. They were reporting of an event in Akwaya, an event where the military came to Akwaya, shot and killed 9 people, 9 armed
What?
people. And so the corpses are lying there. And the issue was what happened. This Akwaya, if you know Akwaya, those who know Akwaya, this Akwaya has nothing, absolutely nothing since 1961. We have seen their schools. But the only thing they have right now is a B camp. They have a B camp. Armed with criminals that will shoot everybody and kill. And what were they killing these people for? According to them, according to this narration, a member of the OANG conference today was telling the audience, according to them, there is a single Ambazonian fighter there, a single one, whom according to them goes to Nigeria to recruit fighters. And in order to kill a single Ambazonian, not even to arrest him, to kill him, they shot 16 people whose corpses are counted. Or they don't even know. They shot and killed everybody. They don't even kill the so-called Ambazonian fighter. And so you ask yourself, these are Ambazonians themselves trying to excuse the massacre of innocent people. Try to justify that these B people could gun down anybody simply on the suspicion that the man goes to Nigeria to recruit fighters. How many fighters could a single man recruit? And so you find people like this who are betraying the cause of that name. They're sitting in their comfort of office and telling all these stories, trying to justify why we should be killed. I did not really put in a break on our cause. They are not talking from Cameroon. They are not talking from Amazonia. The chunk of them were talking from South Africa. What do you think the South African government, if wanted to help us listen to this tough narration from people who are resident there? Perhaps they have already become South African by nationality, they have naturalized there. And so we have people like that. Again, this is the same people who are saying, well, Parliament was saying, no, 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 let us go and let us sit down and take a phone conference and discuss how we can bring back schools, how we can do this, how we can bring peace, how we can do dialogue without asking dialogue with who declare the war, they're not asking the question. They are undermining the main principle. These are the same people, some of them professors, trying to justify that in spite of AAC2, what you mentioned it, we shall lay down a condition that after a reasonable time, if nothing happens, we'll assume our responsibilities. He said, no, no, that was not right. He didn't come back to consult us. Ayub Tabi did not come back to consult the people to declare independence. This is total madness from somebody who holds a degree, talk less a PhD, talk less be a university professor. They are part of us.
It's eating.
And then they will say, well,
It's
we
eating.
just want people to come together. We should be together. They expect me, I don't have a PhD, to come and join them in such a conference, to sit down with them and talk what? Tell how they can go and eliminate people in Akwaya just because they want to catch one man. These are educated people. Have they ever learned the sense of going to arrest a criminal rather than going to kill the criminal? Assuming that this guy was a criminal. You don't arrest him, you just shoot him down. And whoever was running away, he thought that he should be one of them and then he shoot and kill the person without any excuse. And somebody
And
wants
kill
us to
16
come and
people.
join. Somebody wants us to come and join them in the so-called AAC3 to discuss this type of nonsense. I'm just AAC3 is not the issue. I'm just trying to show how our own brothers and sisters undermine our cause. Because they are resident, so in South Africa, just like you and me are resident in the United States. We could be doing this. We could be followed by the American government. They say, yeah, these people have a good case. But if we start to undermine the case ourselves, how do we expect to get international sympathy? You don't sympathize with your brother or sister who was shot dead for doing nothing. You expect the American, you expect a Japanese, a foreign government to do it for you. No, no. Our people must live up to the experience. You have to live up to what you are. You first of all be a human being before being a university professor, before being a medical doctor. Be a human being. Sympathize with the fact that they're killing people for no reason.
But those are in the minority,
Sympathize,
no, Pastor. Those are in the minority.
yes, sympathize with the fact that we sat and were talking. Our argument was argument of force, not force of argument. They started killing us. They burned down our homes. They did everything for doing nothing, doing nothing other than talking. And you don't see this, and you are postulating somewhere as a professor, somewhere as whatever thing. No. They have very funny arguments. I saw an argument again by visiting Mr. Aki, the federalist. Say now, when Chiroma wins, they would not even come in there. They would simply take Chiroma to go and talk with the independentists. And the independentists would come and tell Paul Biya, to call Chiroma, President Chiroma, well, one are independence. According to him, Chiroma would tell them, well, I cannot give you independence because nobody will agree to part of his country breaking away. It's not
He
a
is
choice.
not supposed to give us independence. Who the hell is he?
Yes, so, Mr. Aki, I receive his mail all the time. He's also a professor. He's also a
Yeah,
professor.
Aki.
And then you think that we're going to be asking Paul, Mr. Chiroma, President Chiroma, if he comes to power, say, Mr. President, give us our independence. I mean, it's so myopic that I don't even see what we're talking about.
The good
Again,
part,
let
the
us
good part is that they are in the minority, sir. They are in the minority.
Yeah, no, we're holding our debate. Let us go back to our debate. This is where we are. We already know this thing. I know this thing because I've told us here. We'll have a double fight. We have to tell these people, our insiders, who are ruining us, that there's no space for you. I don't know whether they call us radicals, but you cannot get independence by being soft. You cannot get independence by being soft. You have to be radical against radicalism. Oppression, dictatorship doesn't recognize democracy. Because they call it dictatorship, they do to you what they want, not what the law allows them to do it. And so, again, we will continue to do what we are doing. The United Nations will come in if possible. They don't come in today, they'll come in tomorrow. But in most cases, they come in at the last minute. We're not yet late. Somebody in that forum can say, well, 9 years of war is too much. Well, maybe too much. But if we end it at the ninth year, what should we explain to people who died in the first, second, to the ninth year? Who are already dead for doing nothing? What should be the explanation?
For nothing.
And so independence is difficult to get. It has cost us so much in terms of blood. It has cost us so much in terms of money and other things that can make people survive. But we have to keep the fight until the enemy knows that he was wrong. He had no right to do what he's doing to us. He will back out. Because, as I said before, this war is bringing pain on us. It is also bringing pain on them. They are not surviving it as easy as think. The economy is ruined to the ground. That's why they go now looking for family allowances to get. That's why they take loans everywhere, every day, every night. So it is a difficult process. Let us continue doing it. Let us do the best we can. Educate our people, for those of them who can be educated. Denounce them if they cannot listen to simple advice and move on. Because independence has never been won by the majority. It has always been won by the minority resistant ones. And we are that minority who fight to the end. Over to you.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And this is where we'll be drawing the curtains for today. But before we officially draw that curtain, Barrister Mbeseha made mention of some of the atrocities and some of the killings that has gone on so far. At this point, what kind of concrete security guarantees can Ambazonian leadership offer to demonstrate that there is an independent Southern Cameroon and it would be a stabilizing factor in the Gulf of Guinea, rather than all of these security risks here and there, and hoping that one day Ambazonians will just be handed this liberation freely. Barrister Fru, just use that to
No,
round
we
up
are
our
we are
discussion
making
tonight.
yes, Onye, we are making our effort. We are making effort, in both diplomatically and otherwise, to bring the world to understand what we are going through. We can no longer negotiate with La Republic of Cameroon because La Republic of Cameroon is non-existent. There's nobody to talk to. So the question of negotiation is out. Let the world come to our rescue, as particularly our giant neighbor in Africa, Nigeria. What is stopping Nigeria going to the Security Council and said this is what is happening? There are people who were sometimes part of Nigeria. They separated from us, and they had their self-rule, and they are now suffering. They are now being slaughtered, and there's no government there. There is nothing there. We want the Security Council to take note and grant them the independence that they gave them in 1961. What stops Nigeria from saying that? They already agreed in a case that was filed, and they accepted a consent judgment. Why can they not go use that consent judgment and go to the United Nations and get this whole thing, get us liberated from this whole quagmire? That is what we are calling on Nigeria to act right now, or Nigeria will no longer be the leader in Africa that we all of us have recognized it to be. They have a moral duty to come to our rescue.
All right. Barrister
I will keep it
Mbeseha.
there.
Yes, please. Thank you so much, Barrister Fru. Barrister Mbeseha, let's get your thoughts on that as we conclude tonight's discussion.
Yes, you mentioned the Gulf of Guinea,
Yes,
and
please.
I want to emphasize on that. You see, the Gulf of Guinea has so many countries there. Amazonia will not be the only country there. You have Cameroon who will still be a member of the Gulf of Guinea, Equatorial Guinea, and other countries.
Nigeria.
But Amazonia, Southern Cameroon, is the only country that would show stability in that place. Because we have a track record of free and fair elections
Yeah.
between 1954 and 1961. We have a record of free debates. And so we shall offer a bastion of peace, of freedom to speak, to express one's view. But above all, if it is for strategic reasons, we can offer the world, the Gulf of Guinea, the infrastructure that they need for their trade. We shall develop the Limbe Deep Sea Port. It has no match anywhere in West Africa, as assessed. So that ships can anchor there. Ships can do their business there without anything. Ambazonia has never had terrorist groups within her ranks because we've never created a liberation army as terrorists. So ships sailing to Victoria to pick up whatever thing they want or to drop whatever thing they want shall be safe. That's what we can offer to the world as far as the Gulf of Guinea is concerned. We have the resources, yes, but that's not what we're offering to them because they will have the same oil that Nigeria has. We have the same oil that Equatorial Guinea has. But they have all these things. We hear these pirates going on in Nigeria, in the Niger Delta. We don't have pirates in Amazonia. And so we should offer security as far as the Gulf of Guinea is concerned. We shall offer better shipping. We shall offer democracy, which is the bastion of good business. You cannot do business in a dictatorship because you don't know when another decree will come out. We've never had decrees in our lives. The rule by decree would end. The rule by consent and discussion will prevail in the Gulf of Guinea.
All right.
And Onye, I mentioned Nigeria. I forgot one important information. Dangote is proposing to build a refinery in Cameroon. Where and how? And that is something that Nigeria has to take cognizance and ensure that since there's no government in Cameroon, Dangote's money should not be thrown to the dogs.
All right, thank you so much, barristers, for an amazing night tonight. But before we go, and we have to get into the newsroom where Tabitha Ako has some reports from the global scene and, of course, some reports from the home front as well. All right, thank you so much, as we'll leave you with this report from our newsroom. Tabitha Ako.
Good evening, Ambazonia. Let's see what's trending around the globe. Member states of the International Criminal Court have voted to remove prosecutor Karim Khan from office after finding him responsible for serious misconduct and a breach of duty over allegations of sexual misconduct. Now, the decision was approved by 82 of the court's 125 member states during the vote of the Assembly of State Parties on Friday, following recommendations from the ICC's Executive Bureau. Now, the move marks the first time an elected ICC prosecutor has been dismissed from office. The allegations stem from claims that Khan engaged in an inappropriate sexual relationship with a junior ICC lawyer. Khan has consistently denied the accusations, maintaining through his legal team that no sexual relationship of any kind existed. Now, his lawyer, Tayyab Ali, said Khan would challenge the decision through all available legal avenues, arguing that the dismissal was neither lawful nor fair. Now, Khan's removal immediately begins the process of electing a new International Criminal Court prosecutor, although member states are not expected to appoint a successor until next year. Now, legal experts say the decision demonstrates the court's willingness to hold its senior officials accountable, even as it faces mounting scrutiny over its governance and credibility. Meanwhile, the dismissal also comes amid renewed opposition from the United States, which has intensified efforts to challenge the authority of the Hague-based court. Washington, which is not a member of the International Criminal Court, welcomed Khan's removal but maintained that it would continue its campaign against the institution. The United States has imposed sanctions on 11 ICC judges and prosecutors, including Khan, over the court investigations involving Israel and previous inquiries into U.S. military actions in Afghanistan. Despite Khan's departure, all existing International Criminal Court arrest warrants remain legally valid, as only the court's judges have the authority to revoke or withdraw them. Now, the allegations against Khan gained renewed attention after his accuser publicly repeated the claims in a recent media interview. Khan continues to deny any wrongdoing. Now, the ICC is now expected to begin the formal process of selecting a new prosecutor as it seeks to restore confidence in its leadership while continuing ongoing investigations and prosecutions worldwide. Now, away from that, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called on the international community to support Syria's recovery, describing the country as being at a critical stage as it seeks to rebuild after more than a decade of civil war. Speaking during a visit to Damascus on Saturday, Guterres said Syria was at a pivotal moment in its transition towards stability and reconstruction. The visit marks the first by a United Nations Secretary General to the Syrian capital since 2009. Now let's take a look at his arrival. Guterres held talks with interim President Ahmed al-Shara, who has led the country's transitional administration since January 2025 after rebel forces overthrew former President Bashar al-Assad in 2024, now bringing an end to years of civil war. Now, the conflict claimed hundreds of thousands of lives, displaced millions of people, and left much of the country's infrastructure in ruins. Now, the United Nations estimate that about 90% of Syrians are living in poverty, while reduced international aid has further deepened the humanitarian crisis despite the easing of many sanctions previously imposed by the United States and European countries during the Assad era. Reconstruction remains a major challenge. A World Bank assessment estimates that rebuilding Syria will require about $216 billion, reflecting the extensive damage caused by years of war. Now, during his visit, Guterres is also expected to meet United Nations peacekeepers stationed along the Syria-Israel border. Although al-Shara has repeatedly said his government does not seek confrontation with Israel, tensions remain high. Israel has maintained control of the buffer zone along the border since the change in government and has carried out hundreds of airstrikes on Syrian military sites, as well as periodic incursions into areas beyond the buffer zone, resulting in occasional clashes with local residents. Now, let's see what's happening at the home front. Several people have reportedly been kidnapped in Bamenda in a fresh wave of abductions that has heightened fears among residents and commuters. The kidnappings were reported on Saturday along the Mile 2, Mile 3, Mile 4, and Mile 5 and Mile 6 corridor towards Bambuyi, with the X-Bend and Mile 4 Nkwin areas among the locations affected. Now, local sources say many of the incidents occurred between 3 o'clock p.m. and evening, a period residents now describe as increasingly dangerous for travel. The latest abductions have prompted renewed calls for vigilance, with residents urging commuters to avoid unnecessary late-day journey use only trusted taxi and motorcycle operators, avoid traveling alone, and keep family members informed of their movement. Now, the exact number of people kidnapped has not been independently verified, and no group has claimed responsibility for the reported abductions. The incident adds to growing concerns over the deteriorating security situation in Bamenda, where kidnappings have become a recurring threat to civilians amid the ongoing war in Ambazonia. Now, away from that, a man identified by Ambazonians as an alleged collaborator with French Cameroonian soldiers has accused government soldiers of subjecting him to inhumane treatment after he was reportedly arrested. According to a video circulating on social media, the video, which could not be independently verified, shows the man claiming he worked with French Cameroonian forces but was later mistreated and abandoned by the same soldiers he allegedly supported. Let's listen.
21st of July 2026. So this one na Jojo where the person we work with military them take a key Sagat, the general Sagat. So I beg no me explain that for me own self.
Now on that day Sunday 3 o'clock at night, breaking Monday. You take a call me for us. The soldier carry me go Miloka. Come over town now, go into Coffee Quarter. Oh, Sagada house. All Sagada, I tell you, the house on Rombon. Come over house now, Ramati no into another house. Come on, go in. I know the day. Kapana back, go into Motuna, go Miloka. Go Miloka now, that torture.
Their voice
for me, under torture for me. Odd one, Timisoti, you move me again. Find John Water, to move inside, John Water, beat me, move me back, walking back to the house. And another house, move me back again another next day. Catch me now, come to another one, because it's here. It's never been left when you come to a little go call, go be left and come to catch TV. After 11, they say, the man, Amba Azama Zimana. Okay. I want me to show me the gun. I said, "I no get me. If you see me, I get that. I no get gun." But taking now, you that pins now we didn't over that pins. I said, "Be any high one be no. If I go show any, but maybe I can't go any place. They go no any high one keep me to pin with that key. So now I put open fire now. Bullet fitting a saga face. I'm up banga bullet no ba catch ya be na ifo saga fona instantly ukaloka lugoka na mana kare yango vo le to fino no nine that lugoka saga na go see.
Ambazonian activists described him as a black leg, a term commonly used to refer to individuals accused of collaborating with the French Cameroonian government during the ongoing war in Ambazonia. Now, the footage has been widely shared online, and people say it illustrates the risks faced by those accused of siding with French Cameroon government. Now, Cameroonian authorities have not commented on the video or the allegations, and the identity of the man, as well as the circumstances surrounding the abuse, remain unverified. The incident comes amid the protracted war in Ambazonia, where allegations of arbitrary arrest, torture, and other human rights abuses continue to be reported. Now, this is where we hand it over to Oni Okpala.